Okay guys, welcome to part 3. Part 3, this is exciting stuff. Mr. Labby, just saying it. Go and talk to my lawyer. Here's a recap. Check it out. Go and talk to my lawyer. Check it out. I am pretty excited to see what Mr. Labby sends back. I've been looking into this for the last 2 years, and let me tell you, this is not the first time Mr. Johnson has sent Mr. Labby's email, but it's the first time we're documenting it here for you. So guys, I'm really excited, so make sure, don't go anywhere, stick around, find out what Mr. Labby has to say about his headline, Posing as a Realtor. Very excited. Of course, Mr. Labby, being a journalist, would have a clear explanation of his headline, Man Posing as Realtor. So, Mr. Johnson, go ahead. Let's hear what Mr. Labby had to respond with. Okay, go ahead.
We got a response back, and that's the good news. But I guess I'll read the response and let you guys be the judge of it. Here it goes. Hi, Derek. Please contact Sean Mormon, legal counsel for CBC. His email is sean.mormon@cbc.ca. Regards, Bryan Labby, CBC News.
That's it? That's Mr. Labby's response? Oh, that's it?
That's
the response?
That's it.
Go see my lawyer.
No answer to the question.
What does he need a lawyer for? What does Bryan need a lawyer for?
That's it.
Mr. Johnson, you have a camera right in front of you. Why don't you just look right into it, and we're giving you an opportunity to say what you'd like to say to Mr. Labby. Go ahead.
Bryan, I don't understand. How can you make claims and not defend yourself? How can you not explain yourself? You're calling people posing as realtors, and you can't even defend your position? So I guess what's going to happen now is we're going to have to go and try and make contact with Mr. Sean Mormon. And we'll see what he has to say. Perhaps he will be able to better answer this question since he's the legal representative for the CBC News. And apparently Mr. Bryan Labby is having trouble explaining himself. He's putting words out there in publication, and but he can't even explain himself. So I guess what we're going to do is reach Mr. Sean Mormon, and we'll let you guys know what's going on. Keep in touch, guys. Bye.
That's it? That's Mr. Labby's response? Talk to my lawyer? He's a Canadian journalist working for CBC News. We're expecting more for some reason, but that's unreal. That is very unfair. A Canadian media entity put up a headline. He should be able to defend it through his email. When they don't answer, oh, go see my lawyer. Like, really, what are these guys saying? They're saying that, are they admitting guilt? Because they need a lawyer? Why would you need a lawyer to explain what you meant through posing as a realtor and just questions to defend your work that you're working for CBC News? And there you have it. We have a big media not answering an affected party. So either way, that is his response. He says, go and talk to my lawyer. Okay guys, so here we are. I mean, Mr. Bryan Labby said, go and talk to my lawyer. Mr. Johnson is going to go to his lawyer and he's going to send him an email, alright guys? Only makes sense, but it is a little weird that Mr. Labby cannot just defend his headline on his own. Go and talk to my lawyer. Now, here is Mr. Johnson giving us a little recap here on exactly what he's going to send him. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Bryan Labby, rather than simply answering the question and explaining himself, what he's done is he's just referred us to a guy named Sean Mormon with the CBC News Legal Department. So, I guess since he's now the appointed mouthpiece, what we're going to do is send a nice little email over to Mr. Sean Mormon here right away. It's going to be very simple. I'll just give you guys the gist of it here. It's going to say something like this. Hi, Sean. We understand that you are now the assigned agent for Mr. Bryan Labby. And Mr. Bryan Labby, in his articles, is claiming that people such as myself are posing as realtors. So, considering a realtor is a trademark name, and a contract worker within the MLS system, you will need to explain how that's possible. But we're going to ask Mr. Sean Mormon the most important question, and we're going to be waiting on pins and needles for his answer. And that question is this. Once again, we're asking, how can a person pose as a realtor?
Mr. Johnson, he has an update here. He sent his email. He has an update. It's been about 2 days later. Let's see what Mr. Johnson has to say. This is who he sent the email to. Let's see what Sean Mormon has to say. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Oh, hi everybody, this is Derek reporting from Calgary again. It's August 22nd, 2014 on a Friday. It's been 2 days now since we've sent our original letter to Mr. Sean Mormon from the CBC News. He's representing Bryan Labby. And we made it a really simple email for him to answer one question. That was all we asked him for the first one. So 2 days now, we still haven't heard back from him. So since Bryan is having difficulty explaining his claims, which he's twice made, I'm now asking you as the agent for Bryan. Once again, how can a person pose as a realtor? We're waiting anxiously, Mr. Sean Mormon, and we can't wait for your reply.
Okay guys, so it's been 2 days. I mean, let's get serious. The lawyer for CBC, Mr. Sean Mormon, he could be busy. So we told Mr. Johnson, you come contact us after 7 days, and let's get serious. That's very ridiculous if a lawyer for CBC News, Mr. Sean Mormon, does not answer an affected party who was placed all over the news via CBC and Bryan Labby.
Hey everybody, it's Derek Johnson reporting from Calgary, Alberta investigation with the CBC News, Bryan Labby. And now it looks like we've got Mr. Sean Mormon, the lawyer representing Mr. Labby, who we've sent a letter to with a very, very simple question for him to answer. It's now been 7 days since we've sent out this email to Mr. Sean Mormon. And surprise, surprise, we haven't heard anything back from him yet.
Holy moly. Okay, I gotta say, Mr. Johnson, 7 days is a long time for no response from a lawyer. And keep in mind, and an affected party was placed all over the news and they're not responding to. So I'm gonna have to say, that does look pretty suspicious here. That does look pretty suspicious. There's no doubt about it. Mr. Johnson, why do you think they're not responding? Why do you think Mr. Mormon's not responding after 7 days?
I happen to believe that he's having some real difficulty answering the most important question that we have for him, which is, how is it possible that a man can pose as a realtor? It's a mystery to us, and apparently still a mystery to everybody else.
Yes, I agree. How would you pose as a realtor? Because you have to get a listing agreement and run around and say you can list a house on the MLS system. Or you're going to drive people around and try and get houses you can't get into. Why would somebody do that? And not only that, it does sound creepy and slanderous that somebody would go and pose as a realtor. But Mr. Johnson, what would you like to say to Mr. Sean Mormon after 7 days of silence? What would you like to say, Mr. Sean Mormon?
So, come on, Sean, what's going on? Seriously, if Bryan Labby can't speak, you're the guy hired for the job. If you're not going to do the mouthpiece part here, then I guess Mr. Labby's going to need another lawyer. So we're going to be in touch with Bryan again here shortly if we don't hear from you. But you must know that as the representative agent, you need to start communicating with us because we've got some serious questions for you. We're expecting to hear from you, Sean, and we're not giving up.
Okay, guys, we told Mr. Johnson that after 14 days to come back and update us. And if you have not got a response, we will campaign for complaints for this situation. And we just got a call from Mr. Derek Johnson saying that it's been 14 days and he has an update for us. So I'm super excited to see what the lawyer for CBC News, Sean Mormon, would have to say about this with all of his training and his schooling and his education. So I'm really excited about this. All right, Mr. Johnson, go ahead, give us the update. What did Sean Mormon say, the legal representative at CBC News? Go ahead, I'm excited, go ahead. Go ahead.
And we have got nothing. Pure and utter silence.
We are now 2 weeks since we have requested.
Nothing? After 14 days utter silence from CBC News, from an affected party who was placed all over the news, and he's asking what is this all about, and they ignore him? That is not right. I have to say, that does look pretty suspicious here. That does look pretty suspicious. There's no doubt about it. Mr. Johnson, so what does this really mean when they're not responding to you? What does this mean?
What does that mean, folks? Well, that means that they are running around trying to figure out how they're going to deal with this, because obviously they're wrong.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you, I think the most definite thing that is wrong about this is a Canadian not getting due process. I mean, this is what Canada makes Canada fair, due process. How the people are treated fairly when they come up against anybody. And I mean, it even makes it more obviously they're wrong just due to the fact that they're just staying silent for 14 days, not coming to the table and talking to an affected party. It just seems like they're just wrong through silence now. They're not responding to an affected party. We would agree with you, it's completely impossible to pose as a realtor, not to mention the fact that there's no benefit from it. So, what do you think about that?
Obviously, it is impossible to pose as a realtor, unless of course you're doing something crazy like driving people around in your car, stopping in front of houses with signs on the lawn, and pretending in some way that you can get them in, maybe carrying a business card that says realtor on it. This is crazy stuff.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, we know for sure you've not posed as a realtor. One, there's just absolutely silence about it. And two, you never did drive anybody around, stump in houses and don't even get them into places or run around the car like you were saying. So we know you didn't do any of that. You know what the crazier thing is? What's wrong here is a Canadian not getting due process from such a large company, CBC, and their lawyers. And the lawyer's supposed to be doing something about this. He's the mouthpiece. 14 days, that's unacceptable in anybody's line of work. But Mr. Johnson, what do you think of all this right now? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So anyways, just a perfect example of how big media, even in here in Canada, is absolutely ridiculous. They're putting out lies, just like our immigration minister, Mr. Jason Kenney, once said, the CBC lies all the time. Right, Jason? So here we go. We are going to be coming at them now with complaints.
Here's our call to action. We need to complain about this. So just click that link where it says to complain, click here, then share, then like. This needs to get to the people so we can see and come together with these large corporations using their large lawyers just to keep the small man down. And it's happening in every situation. Mr. Johnson, go ahead. I mean, really, 14 days being ignored and slandered like that now. Love to hear your thoughts.
Obviously, these people need to be told that what they're doing is wrong. They are siding with a non-governmental agency, believing whatever claims they're making about people posing as realtors when they're the ones posing as government agencies. This has got to stop, guys. I'm asking for your help. Everybody out there needs to get involved. We need to start sending complaints to the Real Estate Council of Alberta. These people have to stop getting into people's private businesses and trying to tell people what they can and can't do. And these big media people like Bryan, Labby need to understand that they actually need to do a little research. We do realize that the old age of journalism has pretty much collapsed. It doesn't exist anymore. And this is another perfect example of how a guy does zero research and is able to put out a bunch of lies for everybody to go out there and believe.
Mr. Johnson, okay, really, my heart goes out to be honest with you, but we're gonna, keep covering this. This is great stuff. But what would you like to say to the people coming from really a victim, soon to be hero?
And we'd ask all of you guys to get involved. This is a great cause. It is time that these masquerading agencies get put in their rightful place. Thanks for all the support, guys.
And there you have it. We have a big media not answering an affected party. Derek Johnson's name is in his article and refuses to answer his emails. Go talk to my lawyer. That's what the people get from our big medias and their lawyers. Come on. Here's our call to action. We need to complain about this. So just click that link where it says to complain, click here, then share, then like. This needs to get to the people so we can see and come together with these large corporations using their large lawyers just to keep the small man down. And it's happening in every situation. Okay guys, that brings us to the end of part 3. But guys, tune into part 4 because we've got Mr. Johnson sending emails to Bryan, Labby's boss. And so it's Alan Ferguson, that is Mr. Labby's boss here, and he's going to be getting an email. He gets invited into this situation now, obviously, because somebody's got to do something about this, and that would be Mr. Alan Ferguson, Mr. Labby's boss. So tune in to the next series of emails because they're all going to him from Mr. Johnson. It's gonna be a good one. Talk to you later. Peace out, and tune in. Tune